everyone, and welcome to episode 104 of the Cherry Heart podcast. I'm Sandra, and this is a crafty cast featuring crochet, knitting, sewing and any other creative bits and bobs I may get up to. You'll be able to find the show notes for this podcast on my blog, which is cherryheart.co.uk, and that's where you'll find the pattern names and yarns and the details of the things I talk about. You'll also be able to navigate this video using the timestamps, which I'll put both below the video and in the show notes, and then you can just hop around to the bits of the video that you want to. You can find me on Instagram as Sandra Cherry HRT, and I'm elsewhere around the web as Cherry Heart. So hello, how are you this week? It's glorious here, glorious spring weather, it's fantastic. Which means I've been out and I've been out gardening, so not a lot of progress to show you on the making front. I've got a few bits for you and a few things to talk about, so we'll see how it goes. I hope you've been having a nice time, enjoying a little bit more freedom if you're well, I was going to say the UK, but even then we have different rules depending on where you are in the UK, don't we? So hopefully you're getting a bit more freedom from lockdown, or maybe you don't have any lockdown to worry about anymore. Lucky you. But yeah, it's been nice to sort of meet up in gardens. That's what we're allowed to do here at the moment. So yeah, that's been good. Let us move on to the first thing. Actually, since I was talking about the garden, I'm going to quickly mention that my gardening journal. I won't talk about this long, so you know, but I just wanted to show you quickly. So you may know, if you've been here a little while, that I do bullet journaling. So I've got a bullet journal, and the garden, to be honest, has been neglected for quite a few years now. It's been a bit good 4 or 5 years since I've been able to do it properly. Oh, hello, looks like we have a visitor. Here he is. You come see me, didn't you? There you go. Where was I? Garden neglect, that's where I was. Yes, so things have got a bit out of control, things have overgrown, and you know, it's not looking its best basically. So I wanted to try and sort of get it back under control, and I've just realised I've forgotten a lot of sort of information about the plants. Well, I mean, I was always sort of a beginner, I was just starting to learn things, and some I still remember, but a lot of it I don't. So I wanted somewhere to keep track of sort of the plant names, when to prune things, you know, what plants I'd tried and what worked and what hadn't, and that sort of thing, to try and help me get things under control again. So I got myself a little notebook. This one is an origami one. My bullet journal notebook, for the first time this year, I've got an Archer and Olive one, which has got these thicker pages in it, which I really like because you don't get the bleeding through or sort of ghosting where you see what you've written on one page on the back of the next. So I wanted something with these thick pages, but the Archer and Olive ones, I didn't want to spend that much money on. Sort of, this is going to be a bit more messy and scribbly. I didn't mind doing it for my bullet journal, but I found this online, so I thought this would be a fairly reasonable substitute. It's got loads of pages. It has still got the creamy colour page. My Archer and Olive ones, I don't know if you can even tell, my Archer and Olive ones are very white, so these are a bit creamy, but that's fine. Anyway, so this is the start. I popped this up on my Instagram. So this is my one neat page, I anticipate, of the entire journal, really. And I'll just show you a few little bits I've put in so far. I have made a little bit of effort on these ones because they'll probably won't change. So I've got a little plan of my garden here and just a few bits of basic information, you know, the soil type and things like that. So I wanted a sort of little plan with like the compass, so I could see which way everything's facing and just remind myself, where is it, like this area always stays a lot more shady, so I can sort of plan out what plants will be best to go where. And just kind of, I fancied the idea of drawing one. I thought it looked quite cool. I just put a few of the kind of main tree, shrub type things in, just to, so I can see at a glance what I'm looking at, I suppose, and just to give it a bit of colour, to be honest. And then I've just got a series of pages where I've just literally written, made a space for jobs, so spring, summer, autumn, winter. I'm only just starting to fill those in. So just somewhere I can refer and sort of think, all right, have I done everything I need to do in spring? And then I've done the same for each month, because I'm not quite sure which will be most useful, because it's all very well putting, you know, cut down so and so in February. But if it's been a really bad winter, it might not be quite time yet, so you might need to do it in March. So I don't know which is more useful, but I thought this would be a starting point, and if I need to sort of rearrange this, I can just, you know, put a line through these pages and I'll just rewrite it out again a bit further in the book. So I've got one of those for each month. I left a double spread for March because I anticipated lots of jobs going in March, and I meant to do the same for April, but I forgot. And then November and December I've clustered together because I don't anticipate being so much going on there. And then to keep track of my plants, I've just done a little diagram of different areas of my garden. Now I split it up into different beds. We've kind of got a sort of a layer, what's the word, 2 different levels on the garden. And so the top level I've sort of done one side and the other, and then the bottom I've split up. So I've just done a sort of little basic diagram, some little things where the plants, and then I can list what the plants are there so I can keep track of them. And I've just done that for each bed in the garden. So that's top and bottom of one side. Top, there's a lot going on in this one. And bottom of that side. And then I've got a lot of garden to keep track of, to be honest. It's a little bit much for me, if I'm honest. And then this are the 2 beds around my patio. This one I've left blank for now because we've actually pulled everything out of it, and I'm going to replant it up as a little herb garden. It was a bit of a mess. And then just out the front. I haven't finished putting all the plants in on some of them. I've only got so far. Again, that needs a bit of sorting out as well. And that is as far as I've got. And then I just started making, I'll probably just make some random notes here of just things that occur to me that I want to make a note of. I think I want a kind of another page where I'm just going to put sort of like pruning tips so I know what to do for certain ones. Because in the job list, you know, I might have in March prune back X, Y and Z, and then I could have on the pruning list just so I know what to do for each one. And then as it starts to work its way in, I probably won't need to refer to that. Do you mind grumbling away there? I'm going to put him down. And immediately you want to go out. Yeah, and then as I sort of start to remember it a bit more from doing it a bit more, I probably won't need to refer to it quite as much. But I thought it'd be a good place to sort of have a list of plants and things so I know what I've got where. What are you doing? Go and sit down. I think he wants to go out. I'll let him out. I'll give it about 2 milliseconds before he wants to come back in again. Right, now this is just to follow up on something I talked about last time. So I showed you, I think, these 2 dishcloths that I'd made last time from this Stylecraft yarn. So this is a new one of theirs that they've released not long ago. It hasn't been out long. So Naturals Organic Cotton. And I was talking about using that and saying that I don't use cotton very much anymore because it kind of hurts my hands. So that I went for a knitted dishcloth because knitting with it seems still to be fine. So I made those 2, but I wanted to try crocheting with it as well. So I had these other 2 colours. So this one I knit another dishcloth. These are going to go in down with my kitchen sink, and I like to have a little arrangement of colours. And then for the neutral colour one, I don't know if that's the actual name of it, but the bone coloured one, I thought I'd try crocheting up one of my little pinecone dishcloths, because the reason I wanted to try is because it feels a little bit more glidey, a bit more smooth when I was knitting with it. You know how some cotton, it's just sort of really, what's the word? Not grippy, but you know, it's very sort of matte in texture. There's no sort of I don't know what I'm saying. You know, like if the yarn is got a little bit of shininess or smoothness to it, it will glide over the needles, whereas cotton's normally quite sort of whatever this word is I'm trying to think of. Matte is the closest I can get to it. I don't know, it just hasn't got any of that sort of slide to it normally, but this has got a little bit, is my point. It just feels like it's got, although it's nice and it's not like shiny, it just feels like it's got an ever so slight sheen to it almost. I don't know if that comes up on camera, but it makes it really nice to work with, so I thought, well, maybe that would be alright. So I worked this up, and this was actually fine. I mean, it's quite a small piece, so it's not like a very good test, but my hand and my arms were happy enough doing that little bit, so that's quite encouraging. I still don't think I'd sort of leap straight into a big project with it or anything, but I like that it's at least usable for me, possibly for crocheting something. So that's good news. But I did say that I would mention trying it with crochet, so I thought I'd follow up and let you know how I got on. So the dishcloth pattern I used is by lovely Jules Hill of So Sweet Violet, and it's her wondrous dishcloth. And this I told you about, this is my pine cone dishcloth. This one is slightly smaller, I just made it to be the same size as these. I think the actual pattern for this is just ever so slightly bigger. So there we go, so I'm going to put those into my little kitchen rotation now, and this one I think will probably go into the bathroom. Yeah, I was quite pleased with that, and they've got a really nice range of colours as well, so I do like it when yarn companies bring out a yarn and they've got like a decent range, like, you know, quite often they'll bring them out and they've only got sort of 8 or 10 colours or something, which is fine if you just want to knit a garment. You only sort of need one you like, don't you? But normally I'm sort of mixing colours up in projects, so when there's only a few to choose from, it's you know, it can be a bit limiting for what I want to use it for. But when it's like this and it's got quite a lot of colours and they're all sort of really pretty colours, I'm like, oh, it's the you know, you're like, oh, what can I make with this? Sparks off a little bit more excitement for me. So shall we talk about this? Don't know if you've seen that there. I'll just grab it. So a few podcasts ago I was saying that I was making these Painted Roses squares. So this pattern is one of my patterns. It's called Painted Roses. I made it quite a few years ago, and a while ago I tried out making a couple of squares in this Sheep Year's Stonewashed yarn. It's the normal size, not the XL size, and I just really loved how it looked, so I thought I've got to make up a blanket in that at some point. So I've come back to it and I've made up my blankets and I've got them both finished. I couldn't quite decide what kind of colour scheme I wanted. I didn't know whether to just remake my original colours, sort of match them to the Sheep Year's and, you know, just sort of rematch as close as I could and remake it. But then I started kind of experimenting with different ones, and I really liked the idea of doing one with a pink background as well. So in the end I made 2 because I couldn't decide quite how to go. So this one is closest to my original pattern. I'll just pop the original pattern in actually. so you can see what I'm talking about. So the original I made with a mixture of yarns because I wanted certain colours, but now you can pretty much match everything from the Stylecraft Specials range, so that's what's in the pattern. And so this is my kind of like the original but not really version. So I've got the two different colour middles like I did in the original, but I've gone for a blue instead of a black. But then I've mixed up the sort of first and second petals. They're all the same in my original, so I've mixed that up. And then I've also gone with two different leaf colour choices. So I really liked how that looked together. And then for the join, I wasn't sure what to do. In my original, I've got like a real duck egg blue for the sort of main colour really, the outside of the squares and the border. And I did the joining in a contrast colour, which was more of a regular blue, but it was quite a pale blue, so we had the sort of greeny aqua-ness of the duck egg blue, and the regular blue contrasted sort of quite subtly against it, and I really liked that. But they haven't got a blue like that in the sheep ears. They've got like a dark blue, and they've got this quite sort of, well, it is called turquoise colour. But that was too much of a contrast, I felt. Though actually I tried it out. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen I did try it out and it did look nice. But I just decided I'd go with something slightly more subtle. So I've matched in the joins on this one in the same blue, which I think is Amazonite, yeah. And then I've just gone with a couple of colours for the contrast colours in the border, and then again in the original pattern I go back to this joining colour for here, and I've just stuck with the main colour for this. I just liked that it was a little bit more subtle that way, which I quite liked, and I thought it suited this blanket. So colours, I'll put all this in my show notes as well. And I've also put in how much yardage I've used. So this is only the baby blanket. So if you're making a different size, you might have to, you know, what am I saying? I don't know what I'm saying. You know, it's only kind of like a guideline. So if you're making a bigger size, obviously you'd have to multiply up. But yeah, I've put in what I've used for this. And then I have got details of the breakdown of what I've used on each sort of colour for each bit. So what I'm going to do, I've got all that in a spreadsheet. It's amazingly complicated really, because you sort of use a bit of colour here, but then you use it in the border, and then, oh, but then what are you using in the joins? You have to sort of break down each section. So I've done a spreadsheet, but I've got sort of like, I just need to sort of create the, you know, a summary of that information, and then I can just pop that up in the pattern for you. But I have got the colours and the yardage for this blanket on the blog, or I will do by the time this is out anyway. I'll have that up on the blog, so I'll link to it in show notes, so that'll be fine. So I was just going to go through the colours for you then. So I've got, this is the turquoise, this one is rose quartz, this one I can't say so well, it's something like rhodochrosite. This one's this one is lemon quartz, I believe. This one is fosterite, amazonite, and I think that's it, because that's the turquoise again and that's the rose quartz again. So that's my blue based one. Not quite sure what I'm doing with these, by the way. I have no baby to give them to, but I just couldn't resist making them, and it was such an enjoyable project, just making these squares up and these colours. I didn't really need a reason, it was just fun to do. And then my pink one, I did go with the contrasting join for this one. But I've got a different mixture of colours in. So I tried what did I try? I just tried various different combinations basically, and just picked out my favourites that went with this pink background. I just love how it looked with the pink background. So I've got yellow middle, pale, and that sort of mid pink colour. I was going to originally go with this mid-pink colour here and like a red colour on the outside, which also looked nice, but when I put all of the squares together, those ones looked a little bit overpowering. So I just went back to this. It just seems to sit together as a whole a bit nicely then, but I did really like how the red looked too. It was hard to choose. Then I've got these ones with the blue, with pale blue Amazonite inside and the turquoise outside, and I also did the opposite of that with the dark in the middle and the pale on the outside. And then I also threw in just a few, there aren't that many, I think I've only got 3 of the yellow squares in. I just quite liked how the sort of little bit of yellow lifted it all up as well, so I just left a couple of those in. And then the contrast colour for this one, so I thought it looked nice, and I've done the same as in my original pattern. The colour that I've used for the join and the first round of the border I've also used just before the end, and I just pulled out a couple of other contrast colours from the blanket that I thought worked for the other lines in the border. So that's my pink one. Ta-da! A finished object, 2 finished objects. Yes, so I don't know what they're going to be for. If someone has a baby girl, I'm ready to go, though. Not sure I want to give them away, quite frankly. Oh, it's all bright again. There we go, it's calmed down again now. Sort of things that are coming up that I have to talk about, really, that aren't quite ready yet. I've just started work on another little project, which I'm hoping is going to be a pattern, but that's all secret squirrels at the minute, so I can't talk about that. This top here is my Florence T top. I showed this last time, and that will be coming soon, so it's in testing at the moment, and I've got a lovely group of testers working on it who are doing a fantastic job. So yeah, that will be coming through soon. And then another thing I'm working on is I'm revisiting my Spice of Life pattern. So this is, again, it's quite an old pattern of mine. If you weren't here at the time, because it was eons ago, it was the first crochet along blanket that I ever did, and I did it together with black sheep wools, and it was in 2015, can you believe? Wow. And yeah, it ended up sort of taking off, and it still seems, you know, quite popular today. People are still making it, but the original colours that I selected and made the blanket in, that yarn's discontinued now, so you can't actually get the original yarn to make the blanket sort of as per the pictures. So I mean, on one hand, that's absolutely fine, because people use whatever yarn they like, and we have other colour packs for it, but I just thought it'd be nice to kind of, you know, revive those kind of original colours. So that's something I'm working on. So yeah, but I will talk more about that in an up and coming video when I've sorted things out a bit more, when it's a bit closer to being together. But yeah, so that's coming, so look out for that. And then related to that, Black Sheep will also have yarn packs for some of my other blankets. There've been a lot of issues, stock issues recently with, well, I don't know what the various reasons are, because of the pandemic, obviously. I think the new Brexit sort of changes caused some disruptions to things at the ports. But so I just thought I'd let you know that some of them are back in stock. So in terms of the A Spicier Life blanket, which is one of my crochet along blankets as well. So we've got the Bollywood, the Jaipur and the Taj Mahal packs are all in stock at the moment. And then for my other blankets, we've got Granny Goes Large is back in stock. The Weekender blanket, there's a yarn pack in for that. And then for the Spice of Life blanket, we've got Sarah's version. So Sarah at Black Sheep Wool, she made a blanket while as part of the original crochet along, so her colours are up there. And then there's also an autumn pack and a toy box pack, so they're all in stock at the moment, at the time of going to press. So just to let you know where things are on that. And I haven't got any more patterns into Etsy or the US terms yet. The US terms, I think there's literally only 4 or 5 left to do, so hopefully that's not too bad. Must get onto that. And then Etsy, there's still a few more patterns of mine I want to get up there, so you can still buy from Ravelry or Love Crafts, but I just wanted to get a few more onto Etsy, so if that's, you know, your preferred place to get them, that you can do that. But if there's anything you particularly are looking for and you don't see it on there, feel free to give me a nudge. Just put it in the comments below and I'll sort of, you know, try and get that up there for you if you're sort of waiting for something. I'm just quickly looking down to see if I've talked about everything I wanted to talk about. I think I have, really. Yeah, I think I have. I'm going to leave it there. So thanks very much for being here. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, if you'd like to give me a thumbs up, that is always nice. And if you're trying me out, if you're here for the first time and you'd like to subscribe, well, that would be fabulous too. But either way, it's lovely to speak to you again, and I will see you next time. Bye!